Let's move on to introduction to while and do-while loops. In C#, loops are essential for controlling repetitive tasks efficiently. Among the various types of loops, while and do-while loops are particularly useful for executing a block of code as long as a specified condition holds true. This lesson will guide you through the mechanics of these loops, providing you with the knowledge to implement them effectively in your applications. Don't worry if this feels new at first. This section covers understanding the while loop. The while loop repeatedly executes a block of code as long as a given condition evaluates to true. The condition is checked before the code block runs, making it possible that the code might not execute at all if the condition is false from the start. The samples on screen walk through this step. Take a moment to read through them. In this example, the variable counter starts at 0. The loop checks if counter is less than 5. If so, it prints the current value of counter and increments it by 1. The loop continues until counter reaches 5. Let's move on to understanding the do-while loop. The do-while loop is similar to the while loop, but with a crucial difference. It guarantees that the code block will execute at least once, regardless of the condition. This is because the condition is checked after the code block has executed. See the example on this slide. Pause if you want to study the details. In this example, the output will still display the numbers 0 through 4, just like the while loop. However, if the initial condition were false, the code within the do block would still run once. You'll use this often as you go. Now, common use cases for while and do-while loops. Both loops are particularly useful when the number of iterations isn't known ahead of time. For instance, first, waiting for user input until valid data is received. Also, processing data until a specific end condition is met. Finally, iterating through data collections without a predetermined length. Let's move on to example user input validation. Let's create a simple program that prompts the user to enter a number between 1 and 10. We will use a while loop to ensure that the input is valid. See the example on this slide. Pause if you want to study the details. In this program, we first prompt the user for input. If the input isn't within the specified range, the while loop will continue to ask the user for a valid number until 1 is provided. In this lesson, you learned about while and do-while loops in C#. The while loop checks the condition before executing the block of code, while the do-while loop checks the condition after executing the code block, ensuring it runs at least once. These loops are valuable for managing repetitive tasks, especially when the number of iterations isn't predetermined. Alright, your turn. Give this a try. First, create a program that prompts the user to enter a password and continues to ask until the correct password is entered. Also, write a program using a do-while loop to display a menu until the user chooses to exit. Finally, implement a countdown timer that counts down from a specified number to 0, printing each number.